So, Mary, can you come on over here too? So yesterday was super fun. We had some mud in the morning. Welcome back to everyone that was here yesterday, and then of course today's going to be, I think, a better day in the sense that we're going to have more tracks to play with and be able to open up more space. Where we're going to start is on 2 ovals, and we're just going to work on riding position. So bear with me on this one a little bit. I mean, we're going to flat track, and the goal of this is to make it so that you don't have to think at all. And we want to find the right riding position on the bike, because when you find the right riding position, you can do anything on a motorcycle. You know, it's the reason that you can watch these riders on television have these miraculous saves is because they're in the right spot on the bike. If they were in the wrong spot, they would have zero chance of saving it. And it opens up a whole world of riding, which is my favorite part, which is sliding the bike and being able to really maximize. The overall goal of the day is to understand what we're asking of the motorcycle. If we don't know what we're asking, we're just going to keep hitting the ground, and we may never figure it out. If a good rider doesn't hit the ground very often, and if we know what we're asking, there's no reason that we should be hitting the ground unnecessarily. So the way that we keep from hitting the ground is understanding what the motorcycle is saying. When the motorcycle is giving us a real positive feedback, it's pushing against us. So that's all done with load. If the tire's loaded and the suspension's loaded, the bike has this very positive feedback that you feel in the form of G-force coming at you. You can feel it through the seat, through the pegs, through the grips. You can feel it, the bike pushing it into you. A lot of riders that are street riders or whatever that have never slid a motorcycle before will say, "What's it feel like when when the road racer slides?" And it's like, well, it just that G-force that you have starts going away. You start feeling the controls get lighter. The foot pegs are where you feel it from first. If I'm sliding the front and I feel it through the grips, I'm too late. Like if I'm sliding the front, I'm going to feel it through the pegs first, and that's where I need to be able to be sharp and make that happen there. That's a little high level and maybe a little bit later on the day, but to reel that in, if we're on the right spot on the motorcycle, we can feel those sensations come back very, very early. And so what's the right spot on the motorcycle is being on top of it in this case. And it's directly the opposite for the road racer. You'd say that the crack, your butt crack would be off the inside of the seat on the road racer, but on
your median line.
What's that?
Your median line.
That's it. Median line. Thanks. So, but on these, your median line is going to be right on the top crease of the saddle, and it's right where that green and black crease is.
Stitches.
So
yeah, on the stitches there.
Yeah, on the stitches, right? So, and it's a very comfortable position. And so when we go out, and there's going to be 2 tracks here, they're roughly the same thing. And ideally, you'll be able to just keep the bike in 2nd gear. So there'll be no shifting. You don't have to think about that. And most importantly, you don't have to think about moving, because you're just going to sit on that top crease line on the saddle and just sit there. You'll go down the straightaway in that position, which you're, like slightly twisted on the saddle, and then you'll just drop the bike into the turn. And we need to have our elbows here in a strong, like, push-up position. If you do push-ups and you put your elbows into your gut, you know that you lose strength. So we don't want to control the bike by having this strong, this strong force, but we do need to be able to if the bike gets out of control. So it gets us in a active position on the motorcycle, but it's not to say that we want to be wrestling it. All of the real work that goes into riding the bike should come from your core down to your feet. So everything up here is sort of that fine fine tuning, like it takes very little force in the handlebars. And the only time you really ever force a road racer is when you're doing direction change, like through a chicane. That takes a lot of force. But other than that, there's very little force that happens in the handlebars ever on a road racer. So what we'll do is we'll go out and we'll go left, and you might be tempted to just leave your leg down the whole lap. Then you're going to end up with a very tired leg. So pick up your foot as soon as possible. The sooner you pick up your foot, the more grip you'll get. The lap time will improve. It'll also save you from getting tired. So really, the thing that we're working on here is we're going to go left for a bit, and then we're going to turn around and do the same track to the right. And we're going to work on sitting on, finding the sweet spot, which is on that high part of the saddle, and being able to dip the bike down. Imagine if I were sitting in the middle of the saddle and I were leaning with the bike. If the bike starts sliding, I'm going to fall to the ground. There's no way I can pick it up. If I'm on the top of the saddle, I can take one of these 200-pound motorcycles and drop it to the ground and pick it back up. So I'm in a very strong position to be able to pick it up. That's that position. We essentially want to keep our body perpendicular so that we're in a strong position to pick the bike back up. Important note that the foot should kind of work in parallel with the fork tube. So, you know, a rider that might have a strong motocross background oftentimes will put their heel forward, and that doesn't work out here. You just don't have any leverage. Imagine trying to pick the bike up from the ground with your foot forward. You just can't do it, and plus you end up running into the handlebar. So the correct spot to put your foot is that the arch of, or I should say the ball of your foot is kind of just sliding along the ground, and the foot should work in parallel. If this is the fork tube, the foot should work in parallel with the fork tube, which is just kind of do what the fork tube is doing. The other thing that happens a lot is riders will get behind the motorcycle and they'll start coming back here, and so the bike's going this way and their hips pointed back this way. They're constantly behind, and again, they can't pick up the bike, and more importantly, they're trying to twist their knee the whole time they're trying to pick up the bike. So we want our foot to be kind of sliding with the motorcycle, but always ahead. So those are the riding position things. Just you know, a good strong position for doing you know, push-up, and keeping the hips traveling with the motorcycle. So the motorcycle is going this way, my hips are going this way, my leg's going to be here working in parallel with the fork tube. And I think that should get us going. Most important for safety is, go for it, Jeff.
Anyway, I just wanted to emphasize that they should probably try to find a central point to sit in, forward and back, so that you know, you're not pushing the front end too much, or you're not losing the back end. Anyway, if you can centralize your weight so that it's balancing the tires.
Yeah, the sweet spot on the bike is in the center of the bike, and the center of the bike is towards the front of the seat. The farther back you get, the bike's like a boat, right? So it's hard to get too far forward. It is possible, but I would say as far forward as you can get and stay on top of the saddle. And that becomes slightly harder for some of our taller riders, but even if you're tall, try to get up towards the very front of the seat. Yeah.
As far as the bike here, are you also saying toes going to be parallel, foot also parallel with the bike, or are you? I see your foot kind of coming out a little.
Yeah,
outward.
The toes can do a lot. If the bike's going this way, I can't really lean the bike too far down and keep my foot going forward. So it does end up turning a bit. And in an extreme where a flat tracker is wearing a steel shoe, you'll actually see their heel leading their foot, but we're not going to be doing that. So the steel shoe makes that possible, and the extreme lean angles that you might have on a flat track bike. But for the most part, the foot, like if the bike's going this way, the foot's probably going to be in this range to give it like that working.
Almost a 45. Kind of.
Yeah, maybe a 30.
Maybe not quite 30 yet.
Something. Yeah. Cool. But 45, sure.
Yeah.
Good question. And yeah, I'm only as good as the question, so please just fire them at me. So most important thing that we can do is be safe, right? And there'll be, many times today where we're pulling on or off the track. Those are the times that we can create the biggest wrecks. So it's really the most important thing we can do today is signal and have fun, right? And part of having fun is not getting hurt. So we want our.
When do we get the trophies?
Yeah. Trophies. They're reserved for the kiddos. But speaking of you guys, please be familiar on the track layout and only stick to the track configuration. And most importantly, when you're coming off the track, signal with your hand up and give it a whole lap before you come off the track, so that everyone's knowing what you're doing. The last thing we want to do, of course, is have any kind of collision. So, so for all of us, please, I will bring you on. I will bring you off the track throughout the day, and as will Jimmy or Dad, or if we're saying stop, it means don't pull off right then. Pull off safely. Give it a lap to signal to come off the track. Just take your time, because you never know when somebody's overtaking you on the outside and you straighten up the bike and then both riders are, cartwheeling. And on that, there'll be times when we ask everyone to stop. And when we do so, it'll be fairly obvious, but what I'll do is I will walk to the edge of the track and put my hand up with number 1. And that means take one lap and everyone stop. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
As many riders, it's definitely something I want you guys to have your heads on a swivel, especially if you're pulling off. Like Eric said, if you're pulling off, if you have something going on with you and you need to pull off, throw that right hand or left hand up in the air and look around before you do. Don't just pull off into front of somebody. There's a lot of us here today, so we definitely got to be aware of each other, especially the younger guys. I want you guys to really pay attention, get your hands up, and we don't want to hit little guys.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, but that does go for all of us, and we're all guilty for making these mistakes, and we want to keep those mistakes to 0 today. And we will be changing the track configuration throughout the day. Make sure you know where the track goes before you really enter the track. When we start a new track configuration, we're going to take a slow lap and show it to you, but that doesn't mean that somebody's not using the restroom or grabbing a drink of water or whatever, and so you're entering onto a hot track and not knowing where it goes. Make sure you understand the flow of the track, and you can find, or grab one of us and say, hey, show me the layout of track or whatever. But because we can't have anybody going the wrong way on the racetrack.
yeah, our track day guys will know. The few guys who've done track days will know this. I mean, they won't even let you out on the track if the track's live, unless you started with everybody at the same time. So we're really a lot more relaxed than some groups are. So just like I said, keep your head on a swivel. Try not to hurt anybody.
Yeah. Okay, so we have two ovals out there, and I'm just going to ask everyone to evenly disperse onto the 2 ovals. We'll start off going left, find that high position, only work on riding position. That's all we care about in this. And then at some point we'll turn around and go right. Remember to get the foot back to the foot peg to save your leg strength. And I think that's it, and maybe look between the 2 tracks. Maybe one track is full of riders and the other one's kind of empty, or maybe one track has a faster group on it and the other one has slower. I think we'll just let that happen naturally. But yeah, try to evenly disperse and maybe find the track that suits you best here. The tracks should be pretty identical. So.
Sweet.
Okay, all right, let's ride.
All right.
Good.